For someone that doesn't understand basketball, I'd say Giannis is doing pretty well this season.
He doesn't understand basketball.
Shut the f***.
As the season has gone on, I think people are finally starting to learn something that I've been knowing for the past couple years, but that is that Giannis is not only the face of the league, the best player in the NBA, but he might be something even more. I'm gonna quote my friend 241 who posted this on Twitter, but I think it's very important that people see this. But when people think of Kobe Bryant passing the torch as the best player in the NBA, or at least a legend at that, many people think of LeBron James, but I would actually argue Giannis. Because ever since Kobe retired and he started issuing challenges to some of these players, and when it came to Giannis so far, he's been the best player in the world. He's had top 10 peaks of all time. He's a 2-time MVP, a defensive player of the year, and a finals MVP. Also, I'm not sure there's really a stat for this, but I would just like to say that it seems like every single season, Giannis could be an MVP or defensive player of the year. That's how good he is. Obviously, I know voter fatigue is a thing, so he's not going to win defensive player of the year or MVP 99% of the time. But Steph Curry and LeBron James, for example, two players who are easily going to go down as some of the greatest players of all time, are not consistently in the MVP conversations. But a player that is always in conversations is Giannis. And if any season so far hasn't proven to you that Giannis is the best player of all time, I think he's building that this season. Last night, after a Bucks win, the Bucks are currently the only undefeated team in the NBA with a 6-0 record. So far into the season, Giannis is averaging 34, 13, and 5, while almost averaging about 2 blocks. With Milwaukee also being the only undefeated team right now at 6-0 and being first place in the East. Also, I would like to just mention the fact that Chris Middleton is currently injured, which is the Bucks' number 2, so it's pretty impressive to see what they can do without him. And I can only imagine when Chris Middleton does return that the Bucks are even better than they already are. Which, now that I think about it, I think they went through something like this early on last year, but my memory's not the best, so I could be wrong. Now, even though technically this is a Giannis video and I have lots of things to say about Giannis, I do want to talk about the Bucks sometimes in this video. Because if the Bucks win another title, that would mean Giannis has another title, and if Giannis has another title, his resume is only getting better. I was having a talk last night with my friend Will So Trill Hoops, who's another NBA YouTuber, and we started to talk about Giannis, and one of the things that he brought up is that Giannis is very good at getting to his shot, which I think is absolutely true. Giannis is someone that can get to his shot whenever he needs to, and he doesn't really need to do anything too crazy. I know it's as simple as getting to the paint and getting a layup or like these 2-foot hook shots, whatever, but they're consistently working for Giannis, and no one has really been able to stop him. And I know some people are like, oh, but Giannis runs over people, he fouls, he does all these offensive fouls, and while there's a chance that is true, and with the evidence, I wouldn't hate you if you said that, but the reality is that they're not calling it. Unless the refs actually believe it is a foul and they start calling these fouls, like when James Harden couldn't do a step back anymore, which I think is still a thing, Giannis can keep doing this and nothing bad will happen. And if these refs do finally start calling offensive fouls on Giannis, I expect him to only deeper his bag. However, I'm more leaning on the side that Giannis is a 6'10 behemoth who's about 243 pounds and is nothing but pure muscle. So if my scrawny ass tried to guard Giannis one-on-one, I'd probably be sent all the way back to Mexico. Now, I actually want to transition on something that I've been thinking about for a while. I've had the conversation that Giannis is the best player and he's the face of the league, which I did say in the intro. However, now I think it's something a little bit different, and that's something even more I said in the intro is I think he's becoming an all-time great in front of our own eyes. Now, full disclosure, I don't know if that's going to be the title of this video, but this is something that I want to make a main point in it. I feel like we need to talk about Giannis in a more broad sense because, again, we know he's the best player in the NBA. We know he is right now the face of the league. And last year, the media absolutely hated Giannis and they would constantly talk bad about him, which I had to eviscerate multiple times. I didn't mind going to war for this man because I genuinely believed everything I said, and so did 52,000 people. And that's just for one video. I could name you multiple other YouTubers that made videos about it that were making their points. But now times have changed. It seems like the media is finally starting to accept Giannis. Now, obviously, there will be those dumbass takes in the media slash, I guess, commentating space that makes sense, like that Gilbert Arenas clip that I showed earlier on in the video. But when these people just say stuff, it feels like they're just trying to say it to like push a dumb narrative or literally just to get popularity. Like if I said Steph Curry wasn't a better shooter than like Ben Simmons and I really try to push that narrative, I could probably get a lot of views. But there's just a few problems with that. One, these lots of views I'd be getting would only be for people to hate on me. Two, I would lose my credibility. And three, I don't believe that. And just like what Gilbert Arenas said about Giannis not knowing anything about basketball and having basketball knowledge, which, you know what, nah, we're gonna hop into that right now. I know that was like a million years ago when that happened, but in reality, I've been wanting to talk about Giannis's playmaking ability, which is very important, so that is the next topic of conversation. Now, this is pretty much common sense, but when you are the best player on your team, you tend to bring in a lot of attention to yourself, especially if you're only really good at driving and you can't exactly be a spot-up shooter. However, what I've seen from Giannis is he doesn't just try to force these drives even though he has people coming onto him. I've seen multiple examples of Giannis being a playmaker and getting his teammates in a perfect position to score. And what I kind of want to get at is that when Giannis is getting double teamed, which he does have happen to him a lot, he's able to make plays from that. On this play, we see Giannis coming up with the ball and immediately he's already going to draw a double team. As Giannis heads into this double team, he does a little bit of a spin move to get away and now he's in a position to score. If we stop this right here, we can see Giannis has about 3 people on him and 2 of those people being Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner. Now, if we're looking at a player like Giannis, he could definitely score here, which sounds a little bit crazy, but if we look at Giannis, someone who's very good inside the paint, this is something he could definitely make, and I wouldn't look at him weird if he took this shot. However, we see 2 possible options. We see Jrue Holiday coming in, which I wouldn't expect him to pass. It looks like he's just trying to be inside, and we see Bobby Portis in the corner. From this angle, it looks virtually impossible that Giannis could actually get the ball to Portis and make it at least an accurate pass. If we're being honest, it looks like he has a better chance at getting a pass to Jrue Holiday, which he'll probably be blocked in that situation if he took a shot, but regardless, it's not an easy pass, especially for someone that doesn't understand the game of basketball. As we can see, Giannis is able to make the pass to Bobby Portis in the corner. Giannis being his size and being able to make passes like a point guard is very impressive and is something that is very much under talked about in his game. We know he's a great scorer, there's no question about that. We know he's a consistent top defender in the NBA, there's no question about it. But something that is very much underlooked in his game is his playmaking ability, and I feel like we have to start talking about this. While I don't expect Giannis to start running the point, I think it's just important to note that he can make these passes whenever he needs to, and it's been able to set up his teammates for good looks. Hence that Bobby Portis play I showed you, which by the way, I didn't show you this because the video cut off, but he did end up making that 3. Now, even though the Bucks are 6-0, and I have no doubt they're going to be a top seed in the playoffs, there is something that I've been thinking about that makes their chances of winning the NBA title just even more than they already are. I want you to go back to the last 4 times that the Bucks have made the playoffs, and I want you to tell me what's been different about each run. You can say players and stuff like that, but there's one thing that stands out. Giannis playing the 5. In the 2021 NBA playoffs, when the Bucks and Suns faced off in the finals, I noticed that they had Giannis running the 5 a lot, and I honestly believe that's why they won. And while I'm not exactly here to just break apart the Suns, I'm just gonna say this. At the time, I would say DeAndre Ayton was kind of a soft center, and I think some people could still agree with me on that. At least compared to Giannis, who most of the time had the upper edge. What I'm trying to say is that Giannis was able to guard the 1 through 5, which is why he had no issue essentially trying to guard the center. And I know Brook Lopez has been amazing on defense, so I don't expect them to change that in the regular season. I expect them to keep the lineup they've been going with and obviously add Chris Middleton when he comes back. But if the Bucks want that one extra thing to help them win a title, I think they need to run Giannis at the 5. I know this was kind of an all over the place video, but I've had so many things to say, and honestly, I don't even know what I'm going to call this video. The main point I'm trying to get across is that Giannis is a damn good player, and we need to start talking about him when it comes to legacy. No shit, Sherlock, he's the best player in the NBA. No shit, Sherlock, he's building something right now, and we're all watching it. And no shit, Sherlock, this is Giannis's league. And as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be like that for a while.